right, 5 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. There is so much philosophy in this next book that we're going to talk about that I agree with. I can't wait to talk to the author. She is on the phone. She's Alena Chapman. She's written a book called The Prison Effect. Wait till you hear what this is about. The subtitle says, Discover How You Are Blocking Your Own Happiness and Break Free to Abundance and Joy in Life. Usually I have a flowery kind of an intro, and I give you a little story or something of the sort. There are so many things I want to share with Alena and have her share with us and you that I don't want to do any flowery intro, although maybe I've already gotten to that point. Let's just say hello and good morning to Alena Chapman. Good morning, Alena.
Good morning, Larry. How are you?
I'm good. I agree with so much of what you say. We have potential to do anything. Sometimes the bad things lead to good things, and life shows you hints. Oh my gosh, there's so much. And we got the PDF, I think, yesterday. So
yes.
I haven't had a whole lot of time to finish it, but everything I've read so far, I agree with. I love you. I empathize. I empathize with you. I wish I could have been an angel on your shoulder at some points in your life.
Oh, you are so sweet. Thank you.
And I think you're being honest. I think that's one thing that you're doing with this is you are being absolutely upfront and honest, so that other people might come to the same conclusions that you have.
Well, that's exactly right. I used my life and everything that I have been through, and believe it or not, I've been through a heck of a lot. And because of the wonderful things I learned along the way from absolutely fabulous people, I was able to transcend some of the worst experiences that I've ever had in my life, and really see the smoke and what was real. And to me, if people can see that in their life and their circumstances, it's perception. If you can focus on what's real and what you want and where you're going, instead of all the smoke and all the, well, I'll use the word garbage, because really that's what it is, the drama, the awfulness. It's the garbage. You can transcend that and really go for what you want.
So much of what
powerful.
Yeah, so much of what we have are distractions in our lives, and I sometimes think that maybe the meaning of life is to go through turbulence. What is the cliche or the folklore, whatever they say? You have to go through the fire if you want to get the diamond, or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I think when you know, if you can see that, yes, we have what we call mistakes. It's the tough times, whatever. But if we can have get our own perception of A, who do we want to be during this? And B, where are we going? Those two questions right there, if you ask yourself, it'll change you. You don't want to be the person who's a victim. You don't want to be the person who thinks life is just so hard.
Right.
You don't want to be stuck in it forever.
Right.
You want to be the person that thrives, right? And then where are you going?
Do you know,
how are you going to get there?
When we open up one of those brochures for like a cruise or a tropical island, we look at the photographs and we see these happy, smiling people on the beach or whatever, and we say, that's where I want to be. And I think we do the same thing in our lives when we're teenagers. At some point in our lives when we say, well, where do I want to be? You look and you say, well, where are other people? Oh, this rock star, I want to be like that. Or this football player, I want to be like that. And the truth is, maybe there's something that you're going to be that nobody else has been before.
You know, and that's true. And it's not bad to look at the rock star, the golf pro, whatever it is, and say, I want to be like that. And,
no, it's not.
Start to get because it gets it starts getting your imagination going. And our imagination is a powerful gift. We're not taught to use it enough. In fact, we're taught not to use it. You know, you're daydreaming, Billy. Don't daydream and all this other stuff. But really, tap into that imagination.
Yeah.
Because I'm here to tell you, you imagine it. Even think of the cell phone. Look at the cell phones we hold in our hand. Do you know that was an imagination?
Oh, everything was.
A thought.
Everything was.
Everything. Everything is.
Oh, I know. I can't look around me and see anything that wasn't first in somebody's imagination.
That's right.
And I would even look at Robin and say Robin was in somebody's imagination at one time.
I bet she was. No, but really, if you can have the thought and think of it in your imagination, you can begin to hold it in your hand.
That sounds like magic. I'm not questioning what you're saying, because I agree with what you're saying. But to somebody who hasn't,
Yes, it does.
To somebody who hasn't really grasped what you're saying, and I'm gonna give you an example of somebody. I years and years ago, and I'm not bringing this up because of the title of the book, but I actually worked at a juvenile detention facility, and so that I'm not not because you've got prison in the title. But I was talking to one of the kids. I was sitting on his concrete slab because that's what he had, because he deserved it. And, but I had empathy for him, and I said, you know what? You're at the beginning of your life. Your life's not over. Don't despair. I said, I'm going to tell you the secret to having a beautiful home, 2 cars in the garage, wall to wall carpeting, a beautiful family. And he said, well, what is it? I said, just work towards it. Just work towards it, and you will get it. And then one of the fellow workers overheard me, and he said, I used to believe I could do anything, and I don't believe it anymore. And so we had this.
That breaks my heart.
We had this, not an argument, but I tried to say to him that I think if you believe you can be anything and get paid for it, that might be the mistake. But you can be a baseball.
Right.
You can be a baseball player without making $1 million.
Right.
You can be a guitar player without being a rock star. You can be a dancer without being at Radio City Music Hall. Right? You can be all those things.
Yeah. And if you really, really want to add the money to whatever you want, so I when I decided to write, I was just writing. I was just journaling. Okay. I did not have any idea that I was writing a book, nor did I care. I just wanted to write. And then all of a sudden I had a book. And then I thought, okay, now I have this book. This needs to get out to people. But as far as the money, I didn't worry about the money then. It wasn't till it made an international bestseller, and then I started a business. Do you see how it led? But money is energy. If you really, really want to, it's energy. And it's what you give in return. It's already there. Everything is energy. And I know that's more magic, ethereal stuff. But everything is energy, and you have to give. Instead of saying, how am I going to get this money? Instead, ask yourself, how am I going to serve the best way that I can?
Nice.
So that I
love
can
that.
receive the money.
Yeah.
And it works
Because
both.
that's what it's about.
It works both ways too, because some people are really happy about exuding their energy on the not so good side, and it just boggles my mind why they don't realize that they're better serving to do good than to get happiness out of doing bad.
Yes, I know. And it's because it's energy too. When you have this feeling of anger, when you have this feeling of, I'm going to just show the world, and you have this anger of any of that, and that's what usually causes the bad action, it is a very powerful energy. I mean, just feel it. It's like rumbling. It's like fire in your stomach. And people get addicted to that energy as much as they get addicted to the other energy. So it's breaking that addiction to that fiery substance.
A lot of times people will write self-help books, and the whole idea is to maybe, if you can take a few shortcuts and benefit from somebody else's mistakes, then it's worth it, to do that. And I wonder if sometimes when you're writing a memoir, like you described this book as, it started out as a memoir, maybe you were writing maybe you were starting out to speak to somebody else, or maybe to yourself.
Memoir. I feel like I'm 80 now. but the experiences I went through, because I was severely bullied, and with that, I learned that, I learned a lot about life, and I learned a lot about what they think and what they really do, and I learned so much about what we as people can transcend and endure. I really was writing to help people understand, so that when they're going through and they're trying to step out of their comfort zone and they can't do it, or they run into problems, or they find themselves in a really hard situation, to get some tools that they can begin to walk right out of that situation. And and above it.
Yeah, it's the tools I wanted you to kind of explain to us. So let's take a little break, and when we come back, we'll find out about websites. We'll find out about how to get the book. No, don't go away. Don't go away, Alena. It's just a 2-minute break. So we'll take a 2-minute break. We'll be right back with Alena. The book is called The Prison Effect. I love the title, by the way. You came up with a wonderful title of what you went through. By the way, we haven't even touched on that, so let's make sure we don't shortchange you on that part of the story. We'll be right back with Alena Chapman on the other side of the break. This is WOCA. All right, 17 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. I just went to alenachapmanlife.com. That's the website. You are a pretty lady, Alena. First of all, just forgive me for being forgive me for being a man, but I'm sorry.
That's all right. You may be a man. It's all right.
Do you know what?
There you go.
Do you know what?
I love that.
Robin told me that her church. Robin goes to church on Sundays.
Yes.
And was it your Sunday school class that did the thing with the rocks?
Yes.
Okay, so they're writing these messages on rocks, and they're just leaving them all over town. And then people will find these rocks, and then the hope is that the message hits home with whoever picks it up, And
Robin, that's fantastic. I love that idea.
Yeah, we have a great pastor in Pastor Shanks, and he really comes up with creative ideas.
So I was wondering what you would write on that rock. Not to give you the Barbara Walters kind of a question, but what would you write on that rock?
Oh my God!
Because somebody's.
I love it.
Let's try and be that. That preacher on TV that I don't like, but he will close his eyes.
Oh, Benny Hinn.
No, don't say names. I don't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It wasn't him anyway.
Not him anyway.
But there's this guy, Alena. There's this guy, and I'm not picking on preachers in general, but this one guy, I don't like him. But anyway, he will squint his eyes and he will say, "Somebody out there right now is feeling horrible," and I'll go, "Come on, you know that the likelihood of that." It's true. There's got to be somebody feeling horrible,
Right. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, and there are so many people who are feeling unwanted in the world. I think what I would put on the rock, the next, how many words can I use? Just one or two?
Oh, you can use
depending on the size of the rock, right?
The rock.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
yeah. If it's Mount Rushmore, you can write the whole.
I'm thinking I'll write my book up there. I think if it's just a little rock, I'd say the next person you see, say hello and smile.
Oh, that's great.
That's what I would say.
I love
Spread
that.
your hearts just a little bit more. Just and the next person you see, because so many times I always try to make eye contact with people just to say hi or to smile, and so few people will look out of their world for 1 minute to look and say hi or to smile.
So yours is so much better. You're so much better than me. I was going to write my baloney has a first name and just, just leave it in the garden somewhere.
That could work. That could work too somewhere. Oh, that's funny.
Tell me about the hard times. Not to go into the down part of what you did, but did you purposefully decide you were going to be like and what do you call it? And what do you call it when you stay by yourself?
A hermit?
A hermit, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, did you decide you wanted to be a hermit?
No, I did not want to be a hermit.
Okay.
In my life, I'll describe it really briefly because it's gone and I'm over it. But when I decided to get divorced, it wasn't the divorce was hard enough. My divorce was 5.5 years. But alongside with that divorce, and I can't really tell you who it was or why it happened, I was really bullied. And to the extent that that my perception in people, like things were being used against me that I love to help people. All of a sudden these people would be there not to be helped, but actually to use it against me. I was pushed out of banks. I was pushed out of this and that. I was pushed out of everything I knew. And, it was like living in the twilight zone.
That's horrible.
It was really like you really didn't know. And the friends, anybody who tried to help you ended up getting, their lives got messed up. So so it wasn't like I was a hermit, but I was kind of forced to be that way. But you know what? The first thing I did, I had a friend that said to me, because, at first I was in shock. And at first, like anybody would be, and I'm human, for heaven's sakes. And I was like, what is going on? And I was complaining. And I had a friend who said to me, she said, You need to control the things you can control. Those are really precious words. And if I was going to say anything to anyone, that's one of the tools right there. Control the things that you can control. Take a look at your life.
Are there sometimes moments where you convince yourself that you can't control something, but maybe you can? I mean, can a person change your mind? Like in your case, maybe you decided to get divorced, and for better or worse, you could control that action.
You could. Or better yet, when I'm getting these attacks on my home and my life, all of a sudden, I sat up that night and I thought, Larry, I said to myself, okay, I can't control that someone is doing this. I can maybe find that out, but what can I do immediately to control and be proactive? So the first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to make sure my kids were safe. I wanted them to get through this divorce in a healthy way. I wanted to make sure my house was protected. So that's those 3 things I can do.
So what'd you do?
And I started to do them. I protected my house the best way I could. I got a big dog.
I was going to say, a big dog. I was going to guess it. Okay, yeah, I would do that too.
Big dog.
Yeah, get a big dog.
Ralphie, my adorable Ralphie. I love Ralphie. And then
a lot of people just call me and I just come over and lay on the front porch.
Oh, I bet you. Yeah. And you put the stone out there with the bologna, right?
That's right. Entice and attack.
Yeah, and then, but I mean, it opened my eyes to my kids and making them feel secure and helping them to function in all this. And I'll tell you, it changed the whole dynamic of everything. That was the start of really seeing that I could change my circumstances no matter who was doing what. Wow, I could change it.
I love what you're saying.
But you had to have the courage to do that and the feeling that this was the truth, that this was the right thing to do.
Well, yes. Well, I'll tell you, if inside yourself, first of all, you have to be honest with yourself. What can I control? And you have to, you can't be in the mode of, well, I'll give you another tool to get you out of that mode, but the mode is, oh, woe is me. No, you have to say, what really can I control? Because there is something I can do here.
Yeah, we hate that.
And you have to be honest. Mm-hmm. Oh, the woe is me is not going to get you anywhere. It'll get you more woe is me. I'll give you another tool to raise yourself out of that. And I don't want to hear, oh, we've heard that before. But I'll tell you a little secret to it. It's very important. Write down the things that you're grateful for. Now, everyone says, oh, here she goes. But let's do it a different way. I want you to write 10 things down that you really, really love. Like when I write down, I am so happy and grateful now that I have my Ralphie. I see Ralphie jumping in my lap, all 100 pounds. I see all that stuff that makes me really, really happy. And I go through all 10. And then I'm really happy at that point, okay? I'm getting my vibration up. And then I sit and I ask God for anything, anything, just peace, I contemplate on that aspect, the spiritual aspect. And then, here's the clincher. Send loving light to 3 people that are bothering you.
Oh.
Okay? 3 people that are bothering you. And I'll tell you, that moves mountains. Number 1, you're actually doing something active to move forward on 3 people that are bothering you. Number 2, you are taking the very best part of your life to start moving forward that day. And you're raising your vibration, number 3. That is a very powerful exercise. Very powerful.
Is the book set up so that you could read it at any point, or it looks like it is? By the way, I found that on Amazon. You got 5-star ratings. You're getting really good reviews, and it looks like it looks like it's only been out a couple of months already. So good for you! Wow,
March, yeah.
Is this the first book for you?
No, this is my second book, and both are international bestsellers already. And Europe is starting to pick up and put it in the bookstores. They like it so much.
Wow.
So, but we need to get it here in the States. We need it too,
It is here. I found it. Where did the expression, I love the title, The Prison Effect, where did that come from?
Oh, because sometimes we say we're living in a prison, or I just hate my life. I'm in a prison, and I put the word effect because you're not really in a prison. You're just keeping yourself there. So it's the prison effect. It's not the prison.
Larry gave advice one time and said how to let go and how to move on. And it seems like you really have that nailed, but it is pretty emotional to do that.
It's empowering to do that. I remember the first time I really let go. I had a mentor of mine, actually it was Bob Proctor, who said, just let it go. And I looked at him and I thought to myself, are you crazy? But then I said, let it go. And I'm not kidding. I felt 50 pounds lift off my shoulder.
Yeah, wow. Do you know what I wish we could do? And the older we get, I guess the more we know this. But I wish we could go back to our younger selves and say, whatever you're worried about right now works out. I mean, there might be some exceptions for something, but there's only one day we don't get to the end of. The rest of them.
On that side of the dirt.
That's what you believe. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. Well, even Larry, you're onto something there. You know that? What about? And I have people do this. Why don't you write a letter to yourself and when you're in a really good vibration in 1 year from now, stating all the things you'll know in 1 year.
Yeah, because whatever you're worried about right now, chances are you won't be worried about it anymore.
It'll be gone.
Yeah.
So where will you be?
Yeah.
So where will you be? You know what I mean? Paint the picture.
Where are you?
And then open it in 1 year.
Did I ask you where are you right now, Alena? Physically.
Where am I right now?
Yeah.
I'm in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Indiana. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for being on the air with us from Indiana. Let's make sure we get the people to your book site. I went to
I love it.
AlenaChapmanLife.com and I saw your pretty face and I saw the pretty handsome book. I had a PDF for the listeners' sake. I didn't have the cover, but now I see the cover. Barbed wire is one of my favorite things, by the way.
He is adventurous, I guess.
Oh, I'm so glad you like it.
I found it on Amazon. What else would you advise as far as how we get the book?
You can go to my website, also Barnes & Noble. You can go inside and say, I want to order The Prison Effect, and they'll order it for you.
Good.
Those are the best ways to do it. It's nice and easy.
If you just need a little push maybe to get over that lump in your life right now that you're going through, I think The Prison Effect gives some really good advice. It's really great philosophy. Alena, what an honor to have you on our show. Thank you for talking to us today.
Oh, Larry, thank you for having me. I enjoyed it very much. You're very fun, both of you. Thank you.
That was fun. All right, we will be right back. Fun with Joe in about 10 minutes. This is The Source.